if you just do a very simple Google search on does China have a BSL-4 laboratory, Wuhan comes up right away. It's at the top of the list. That's all. The moment this type of thing happened, I began to do that. And so a BSL-4 is the most serious type. And basically, BSL-4 labs, we have many of them here in the United States, are used to develop offensive biological warfare weapons with DNA genetic engineering. So it does seem to me that the Wuhan BSL-4 is the source of the coronavirus. Yes.
We are broadcasting worldwide. There is an incredibly important article up on Infowars.com of absolute biblical proportions. A creator of Bioweapons Act says coronavirus is a biological warfare weapon. And that's, of course, Dr. Francis Boyle, who authored the U.S. Bioweapons Convention. He's going to come on tomorrow and give us his exclusive second big interview. He's teaching class right now. We're going to be breaking all of this down. Now, you already have the big Indian Scientific Technical Institute that does this, that maps viruses, scanning it, saying it's got the original HIV delivery system welded into it. Not HIV. No, ladies and gentlemen, the delivery system of HIV and a lot of other things welded into it. And they have found the gene remnants that is always there when they insert a gene. There is a fingerprint, or basically the shell casing is really how it's described. So they know with these electron microscopes and these systems they've got that can get down to the size of genes, but it leaves a trace. Like everything in this universe, it leaves footprints that don't just disappear, but that are there in time. And so then you saw the media go, oh, InfoWars and Mike Adams, specifically, you know, Media Matters and Vice, they're hyping all this up, saying it could be man-made, saying, oh, look at this. But then it, of course, turns out that's what all the evidence shows. We're just reporting on things days and weeks before the media ever even gets around to it. And then the media would spin it saying that we were saying that it was HIV. We never said that. Or that we just made it up. No, this was a major technical institute that came out. They didn't retract it. They just pulled it, though, under World Health Organization pressure. There's a lot of top virologists and scientists, not just Dr. Francis Boyle, coming out and saying, this is a bioweapon that the Chinese probably stole from Canada. We know they did steal it out of Canada. They were weaponizing it, and it got loose. We were hoping, well, maybe it was just a vaccine they were testing that got loose. No, it's a bioweapons situation. That's 98% now. I mean, it's very clear, and that's why they're freaking out so bad, and that's why the death toll has been suppressed, but now it's mounting, and they can't cover it up, and it looks like it is really bad. And that's why we were right to say 2 weeks ago, hey, institutional groups are buying up the food, and they're buying up the medicine, and corporations are. And we got that intel to you showing that the establishment is indeed actually very, very scared of this virus. It spreads very quickly, it mutates very fast, and it's got a bunch of nasty stuff that's been welded onto it. So it's synthetic. All evidence points to that, and there's been an attempt to cover it up, and we've seen this big, giant global suppression drill, this big global UN world government promotion drill out of this. You've seen governments really in lockstep, but now that Trump started restricting flights from China to the U.S., which he should have done even earlier, in my humble opinion, the Chinese government's criticizing Trump, even though they're not criticizing Russia or others, totally banning Chinese coming in out of there. Now Trump's bad, and America needs to receive this. That's why I talked to Mike Adams last night, and he says evidence is mounting. It's a bioweapon that did get released. It was supposed to be targeted at the United States. So we know China's developing bioweapons. And we know, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Wuhan province is the main place doing it. You've got the very labs that has the very umbrella corporation symbol. You can't make up the bizarreness of all of this. We're going to play big clips of Dr. Francis Boyle speaking to international television group about the fact that this is clearly a Chinese bioweapon that got loose. Francis Boyle has an impeccable reputation for integrity, and he authored the U.S. Bioweapons Act that was then put into the UN treaty. He says coronavirus is biological warfare weapon. The WHO knows full well what is occurring.
If you just do a very simple Google search on does China have a BSL-4 laboratory, Wuhan comes up right away. It's at the top of the list. That's all. The moment this type of thing happened, I began to do that. And so a BSL-4 is the most serious type. And basically, BSL-4 labs, we have many of them here in the United States, are used to develop offensive biological warfare weapons with DNA genetic engineering. So it does seem to me that the Wuhan BSL-4 is the source of the coronavirus, yes. And my guess is that they were researching SARS and they weaponized it further by giving it gain of function properties, which means it could be more lethal. And indeed, the latest report now is its 15% fatality rate, which is more than SARS, and 83% infection rate. So typical gain of function, it travels in the air. So it could reach out maybe 6 feet or more from someone emitting a sneeze or a cough. Likewise, this is a specially designated WHO research lab. So the WHO is in on it, and they knew full well what was going on there. Yes, it's also been reported that Chinese scientists stole coronavirus materials from the Canadian lab at Winnipeg. Winnipeg is Canada's foremost center for research, developing, testing biological warfare weapons. It's along the lines of Fort Detrick here in the United States of America. And yeah, I have 3 degrees from Harvard. Would not surprise me if something was being stolen out of Harvard to turn over to China. I read that report. I don't know what was in those vials one way or the other. But the bottom line is, my opinion is, and I drafted the U.S. domestic implementing legislation for the Biological Weapons Convention that was approved unanimously by both houses of the United States Congress, signed into law by President Bush Sr., that it appears the coronavirus that we're dealing with here is an offensive biological warfare weapon that leaked out of that Wuhan BSL-4. I'm not saying it was done deliberately, but there have been previous reports of problems with that lab and things leaking out of it. And I'm afraid that is what we are dealing with today. All these BSL-4 labs are by, United States, Europe, Russia, China, Israel, are all there to research, develop, test biological warfare agents. There's really no legitimate scientific reason to have BSL-4 labs. So it's clearly all weapons related. We have well over 13,000 alleged life science scientists involved in research, develop, testing biological weapons here in the United States. So basically, this is an offensive biological weapons race by the United States government, and it's been and with its assistance in Canada and Britain. And so other states of the world have responded accordingly, including Russia and China. They were going to set up a whole series of BSL-4 facilities as well. And Wuhan was the first, and it backfired on them. I'm not saying they, deliberately inflicted this on their own people, but it leaked out of there. And all these BSL-4 facilities leak. I mean, everyone knows that who studies this. So this was a catastrophe waiting to happen, and unfortunately, it happened. And the Chinese government under Xi and his comrades there have been covering this up from the get-go. The first reported case was December 1. So they've been sitting on this until they couldn't anymore. And everything they're telling you is a lie. It's propaganda. The WHO is in on it. They've approved many of these BSL-4 labs. They know exactly what's going on. And that is a WHO research-approved laboratory. So they know what's going on, too. So you can't really believe anything the WHO is telling you about this. Either they're up to their eyeballs in it, in my opinion. When you have an outbreak, you're never quite sure who or what is behind it. It certainly isn't bats. I mean, that's ridiculous. They made the same argument on Ebola in West Africa. I demolished that online. You can check it out. So I kept competing theories about this. But right now, when you originally contacted me, I said I wasn't prepared to comment because I was weighing the evidence. I'm a law professor, a lawyer. I try to do the best I can to weigh the evidence. But right now, that Wuhan BSL-4, in my opinion, is the most likely source, applying Occam's razor, the simplest explanation. I'm not ruling out, some type of sabotage, but right now, I believe that is the source here. And we know that Wuhan BSL-4 was research developing, testing SARS as a biological warfare agent. So it could have been they gave it this DNA genetic engineering enhanced properties, gain of function, which we do here in the West, in the United States all the time. We have all sorts of research that is clearly biowarfare research that has been approved by the National Institutes of Health. It's a joke. They know full well they are approving offensive biological warfare research, and it gets funded by the United States government. Yeah, BSL-3 and BSL-4 labs are only designed for research, development, testing of offensive biological warfare agents. They have, in my opinion, they serve no legitimate purpose at all. They should all be shut down, every one of them. Well, you just can't believe anything the Chinese government, the WHO, the CDC are telling you. They're all lying because they know what's going on here, and so you're going to have to figure it out as best as you can. But in my opinion, as of this time, and I'm fully prepared to consider further evidence on this, it does seem to me that this was a DNA genetically engineered biological warfare agent leaking out of Wuhan that has gain of function properties, which can make it more lethal. I think they're probably doing something with SARS to make it more lethal and more infectious. And so for that reason, you have to take extreme precautions. And they're now finally admitted, well, yeah, anyone within 6 feet can be infected, whereas with SARS, it was about 2 feet. Well, that's gain of function right there. And that should be a tip-off. So I guess you're going to have to protect yourself.
Creator of U.S. Bioweapons Act says coronavirus is biological warfare weapon. The WHO knows full well what is occurring. In an explosive interview, Dr. Francis Boyle, who drafted the Biological Weapons Act, has been given a detailed statement admitting that the 2019 Wuhan coronavirus is an offensive biological warfare weapon, that the World Health Organization already knows about it. He has all the sources in the UN and the U.S. government. Francis Boyle is a professor of international law at the University of Illinois College of Law. He was drafted U.S. domestic implementing legislation, the Biological Weapons Convention, known as the Biological Weapons Terrorism Act of '89, that was approved unanimously by the House of Representatives and Congress into law by President H.W. Bush. In this interview, Politics and Empire, Dr. Boyle discussed the coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan, China, and the biosafety level 4 laboratory, BSL-4, from which he believes the infectious disease escaped. He believes the virus is potentially lethal and an offensive biological warfare weapon or dual-use biowarfare weapons agent genetically modified with gain of function properties which is why the Chinese government originally tried to cover it up and is now taking drastic measures to contain it. Let me go further. Major scientific institutions that we've already covered have scanned it, and it's got the particular P shuttle SN gene that is in all the literature only when they've gone in and injected an RNA into a virus to change it. So it's got the remnant of the genetic engineering. This is absolutely what causes it. It's absolutely been lab manipulated. And that's why you're seeing the total freak out. The question is, how really lethal is it? Well, there's videos now emerging from China of just dead bodies, body bags piled up, and people panicking, running around. And you can see these are real videos, ladies and gentlemen. So something big is going on here. Is China using this to control their populations? I think there's about to be an uprising. Major scientific institutions, biological, top experts, all of them are coming out and saying it's man-made, it's man-made. Senator Cotton, he gets classified briefings. He came out and said, okay, we need to look at this biolab. That's the one we fingered a week and a half before with all of our experts. Francis Boyle's like, why did you call me? I've been wanting to come on. I mean, he's a regular guest. Why wasn't I thinking? And boom, what is he saying? And he says he's talked to people inside. They all know it. Just like the head UN scientist said, vaccines are killing people and we're covering it up in a video. They're covering their asses at the highest levels. And now this has gotten out. But you heard what he's explaining. It could be the envelope, this virus, is the base weapon, the delivery system. You understand? Like the powder that gets it down the range. And that they add something else to it. And that they're hoping is that they've just had an escape of base virus that is also carried along with another virus. I'm not a virologist. I've researched and had these people on, and there's just all these advanced. So they've got viruses embedded in viruses, and they've got viruses that then mutate out and create another system of viruses. And they've got all these mutagenic systems that are super advanced. We're not back in the 1920s when they learned how to take viruses out of mouse tumors and inject them into people and give people cancer. And then they figured out how to put it in stasis and put it in vaccines. And they did the polio vaccine on record. That's declassified. We're not back in the 1920s when they learned how to inject you with the juice out of tumors and give you cancer. They are way more advanced. It's been out for over a week, and they haven't been able to deny it, that bio research laboratories and top universities have scanned it and are saying that it's clearly man-made and has had the HIV delivery system added to it. Well, now the creator of U.S. bioweapons acts as coronavirus is biological warfare weapon. We played clips of him breaking that down in an exclusive interview last hour that he did on another show, but he will be joining us tomorrow for his second interview, Dr. Francis Boyle, the author of the U.S. Biological Weapons Act, which became the UN Act and was basically adopted. So he's the author by having it ratified by the U.S. Congress and then adopted by the UN with a few changes of the World Biological Weapons Treaty, basically, in 1989. And so this is a big, big deal. And he's saying the UN all knows. He's talked to the people involved. And that's why prestigious universities and others have put out reports saying, hey, this is totally manufactured. It's textbook. It's got the remnants of where the new RNA is added in, where it's welded together. You could, under an electron microscope, they have shots of it, see where it's welded in. And I use this analogy on the Sunday show. Nothing wrong with women with silicone parts. I mean, I don't agree with Sir Mix-a-Lot, but you can tell when there's the incisions under there that there's been stuff added. I mean, it's that ridiculous. It's cut in like a piece of a pie right into there, and it's got the remnant genes in it. Just absolutely insane that they did this. The P shuttle -SN. And Zach Voorhees points out a really, really important point that's also in that same paper, and other scientific groups are looking at it and concurring. According to Chinese scientists, the coronavirus attaches onto lung receptors through the mucous membrane that are 5 times more likely in Asian males, literally genetically engineered for Asian males. Also, white people are essentially immune because we have the inhibitor against the virus. And then it just goes through all that. And that's why they always said that HIV was a biological weapon against blacks, because, yeah, whites can get it, but it's the T lymphocytes in Northern Europeans especially do not have the attachments, because Northern Europeans aren't from Spain where Africa invaded and stuff like that happen. They're just they aren't able to basically get it unless they have compromised immune systems. And I'm going to say on air why, but let's just say a lot of drugs and a lot of artificial outside blood product into the body, and you know how that gets in there. So this is just crazy. And the fact that it's released in China, the fact there's evidence they stole it out of a lab up in Canada, and now this hysterical response is just absolutely insane. But I want to be clear. The HIV delivery system is not HIV, it's the delivery system. But that's how you know it's out of the original HIV virus, and it's the delivery system for it. And that does hit certain racial groups in different ways. Basically, that's what all the experts have said. I mean, HIV is designed to kill black people. And then what happens is it mutates after a while and stops doing it. That's why then there's always going to be new UN vaccination programs with special vaccines, because it's been proven they can be isolated inside another vaccine product and get through screening process and hit people. But that's in the old-fashioned days. Now they try to suppress. And again, it's not the U.S. government doing this. It's a global UN world government agreement after World War II to dehumanize people, to make men not manly, to destroy the family in the name of creating world peace, because powerful, virile men, well, they'll start a war, and, well, you got too many people. And there's arguments to all of that, but the fact is it's a planetary regime doing it. They're the real threat. They are the psychotics. So there's all these different ways that the HIV virus is able to plug in to people that are not white. And it really is a race-specific bioweapon. And we have Dick Cheney in Rebuilding America's Defenses, a April 2000 report for the Project for the American Century, saying it's time to legitimize the use of race-specific bioweapons. And again, I don't want to kill all the Chinese people. I don't want to kill all the black people, all the white people. But you got the media saying whites are the devil, destroy them. That's the same corporate media owned by the same shadow groups that have been caught running all these bio attacks. So why did this get released in China? Why is China freaking out? Why is China saying the U.S. should stay open to China, but not saying a word about it when Russia and others completely, Mongolia, countless others, Philippines, close their borders? This is a big deal now, and we know it's man-made, and this is just unbelievably off the charts. We aren't approaching 1984. We are way, 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 way past it, 1,000 light years. And we have to wake up before we're totally destroyed by this and understand the globalists are just possessed with a absolute desire for total control and power. And whoever created this coronavirus, it's manufactured, and it's the perfect. I mean, I don't want to say Trump did this, because I don't think he'd do something like this. Maybe it's a complex false flag to blame America down the road, but the UN and everybody knows that this is a tailored virus that hits Chinese males more than anybody else. I mean, that is just unbelievable. I am very sad about this virus and very sad about the bioweapons and the things that are going on, but it is an opportunity for people to take advantage of the products we have and do what's right and be self-sufficient. It's all about that. Just because I say you should go work out doesn't mean I'm perfect either. Just because I say you shouldn't eat trans fats doesn't mean I don't eat them sometimes. Just because I say, hey, you don't want to get too much sun, you'll get skin cancer, doesn't mean I don't do it. When I'm up here, I'm talking to myself just like I'm talking to you. In fact, this show is really me preaching it myself, saying you need to be a better person. But I'll tell you this, I almost kicked myself in the ass last week when I'm like on the phone trying to wrangle an even better deal for myself than what we sell the food at, because that's a set price. And they're like, yeah, why, don't you know everybody's selling out? You should be promoting it. You know you already have record high sales of food. And I'm like, I didn't even pay attention to that, because that's the marketing program around here. Is just really whatever I'm thinking about whenever I'm doing. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3-month supply and the 4-week supply of InfoWars Ready Hour is the best deal you're going to get from My Patriot Supply. The orders go out every hour. It takes them 7 to 10 days to ship it. They've got food for another 2 weeks. They're trying to secure more food. Almost everybody else is totally sold out, but they will not tell you that. And the reason I'm with My Patriot Supply is because they have high quality food that is very affordable, beats almost all the competition in price, beats them all for what you're paying for the quality and how good it tastes, okay? This is really good stuff for camping or you name it, or to give to the Salvation Army or give to the local police department or fire department. They've got folks that need it. This is insurance you're going to be able to use. And with inflation, the way it's going, that's the real reason I was buying more food. It wasn't just the virus, it was the economy and the stock market and just all of it, hedging my bet, getting even more food for here at the office. We have enough food, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know, it's a lot. We've got a part of the warehouse just full of food and water filters and then safes with guns and folks training to use them. Not that we're gonna do anything offensive, we're just Americans, we're Texans, and we got teeth. We got food, we got guts, we got red blood. We'll kick your ass, you attack us. That's what this comes down to is you need food, period. Ants store it, grasshoppers don't, grasshoppers die. So I've gone out, got you the best company. I've had them almost 12 years since they started because they were doing a great job up front and I stuck with them. Notice you don't hear, I could have 7 food sponsors right now. They're calling up, offering us millions. No, piss up a rope. Had too many bad experiences early on. And yes, 20 years ago, listeners got burned by some companies. I didn't know, I learned. That's what this is about. And by the way, I'm not just some little wimpy person groveling to you, telling you I'm bringing you the best deal out there. That's for me. I metaphysically need to treat you like I need to be treated, and then boom, I get it all right back. So with me, it's religious not to screw you over and do the best job I can. Doesn't mean I'm perfect, but I'm busting my ass to deliver to you reality and the bona fides. And I'm telling you, you need to get this storable food, and it funds the InfoWar. You can eat the insurance, 360 win. I don't know how bad this is gonna be. We just all need to be prepared, period, and this is a good exercise.